The Whispering Woods. In a quaint village nestled between rolling hills, there lived 3 young siblings, Rahlan, Zinnia, and the youngest Koriv. Rahlan, with his tousled copper hair and bright emerald eyes, was the boldest and most adventurous of the trio. Always looking for the next thrill or unexplored place to investigate. Zinnia, the eldest at 13, possessed a more cautious nature as befitting the protective big sister. Though her wild chestnut curls and sun-kissed freckles hinted at an underlying sense of whimsy and curiosity that her siblings often sparked within her. Little Koriv, just 8 years of age, was wide-eyed and ever eager to tag along on his older siblings' escapades. With a button nose and a dusting of freckles across his cheeks, he looked every bit the innocent yet mischievous youngster. The 3 were a tight-knit bunch, having lost their parents tragically years before. But their resilient sense of wonder and imagination burned brightly, fueling their thirst for adventure. And this fateful afternoon would prove to be one they'd never forget. "Oh, look over there, Zinnia. That forest looks like the perfect place for an adventure," exclaimed Rahlan, his eyes wide with excitement. Zinnia glanced over at the looming tree line with trepidation. "I don't know, Ray. Mother strictly forbade us from venturing near those woods. She says, unnatural things dwell within." But Rahlan had already started scampering toward the shadowy tree trunks, his brother Koriv racing along eagerly behind him. Zinnia huffed out a resigned sigh before hurrying after the 2 impetuous boys. At first, the forest seemed like any ordinary woods. Squirrels skittered up gnarled trunks and birds chattered noisily in the canopy above. But the further they wandered, the more peculiar things became. "Did you hear that?" It sounded like laughing. Koriv's head whipped around, trying to locate the source of the strange sound. Suddenly, a high-pitched jingling voice rang out from the nearest oak. Well, what do we have here? A trio of plump, juicy morsels stumbling right into our domain?" Rahlan and Zinnia gasped, automatically stepping in front of the younger Koriv in a protective stance. But it was hard to feel threatened by the tiny acorn-capped figure cackling merrily atop a large protruding knot. A dryad?" Zinnia whispered in awe. "Not just any dryad, Missy." The creature stuck out his chest with pride. "I am Groblin, spirit guardian and protector of the Whistling Grove. And you 3 have traveled far beyond the secure paths." No sooner had he said this, than the massive oak seemed to shudder slightly. A deep, resonant voice grumbled out, "Indeed, you foolish saplings have stumbled into the heart of the Whispering Woods." Groblin snickered and swung down to perch on one of the lower branches stretching out like a gnarled finger. "Pay no mind to that ancient grouch. Oakheart just gets a bit surly with age, being the eldest treefolk in the forest and all." As if on cue, another tree nearby shimmered and started morphing into an upright, humanoid form. This one sported a slender willow shape and gentle, feminine features. "Peace, children," said the willow maid in a soothing, melodic voice. "I am Silwen, tender of the Whispering Woods. You need not fear my ill-tempered kin Oakheart, nor Groblin's mischievous ways. We mean you no harm." Groblin crossed his twig-like arms and let out a humph of indignation. "Spoil sport. I was just having a bit of fun with the halfling sprigs." Suddenly, a scurrying noise came from behind a nearby bush, followed by a gruff little voice muttering, "Now where did I put that confounded, there you are." A portly chipmunk waddled out, panting slightly as he brushed off his ruddy fur. But when he looked up at the gawking children, he froze. "Well, I'll be." The chipmunk straightened up and adjusted his tiny vest. "Don't see many human kits wandering around these parts." Why you can talk." Rahlan stammered out. The chipmunk rolled his eyes dramatically. "O' course I can talk, don't be so daft. The name's Wince, though most just call me Winnie on account of my sunny disposition." His tone dripped with sarcastic irony. Silwen smiled and beckoned the children closer with a welcoming gesture. "Come, young ones. Clearly you've stumbled through the veil into our enchanted domain. Why don't you let us show you around for a spell? I promise, despite Groblin's teasing ways and Oakhart's gruff manner, we'll keep you safe." As Wince the chipmunk sauntered off grumbling under his breath, Silwen led them deeper into the whimsical forest. All around them, animals and beasts of all shapes and sizes could be seen speaking, laughing, and carrying on in an uncannily human way. At one point, a sudden "woo goes there" made the children jump. Silwen chuckled. "Pay that old owl no mind. His name is Nigel and he suffers from horrid narcolepsy. Why, I'll wager he drifted off again between those two woos." Indeed, when they glanced up into the boughs, poor Nigel was slumped over on his perch, head bobbing as he let out a comical little whistle snore. Groblin chortled and shook his head. "You know how us fey folk are always having a laugh at someone's expense." A sudden grunting and squealing noise drew their attention over to a muddy little inlet, where a family of mischievous river otters were having an energetic wrestling match. "Oi! Keep it down over there, you wee scamps, afore I come splash ya," Wince shouted out, brandishing a tiny cane in their direction. The otters immediately broke apart, looking around innocently. "Oh, do calm down, Wince. Those are just the McPadden pups letting off a wee bit of steam," said a melodious female voice. Floating serenely on the surface of the water was a beautiful swan, regally arched neck and bright eyes warm with amusement. "You'll have to excuse my husband, Finnula," said Silwen with a respectful nod. Though he fancies himself the wisest soul in the forest, his manners remain lacking. "Hey now. Just ya calling lacking in." Wince broke off in a growling fit of chipmunk curses as Groblin collapsed into a fresh peal of squeaky laughter. Rallen, Zinnia, and Koriv could scarcely believe the vibrant, magical realm they'd stumbled into. Everywhere they turned, more fantastical sights and sounds seemed to greet them. Prancing fawn creatures, snarky squirrels with attitude, willows and oaks strolling about on rooted feet. It was like something out of a dream. Finally, as the slanted rays of early evening filtered through the canopy, Silwen turned to them with a warm yet wistful smile. "I'm afraid this is where we must bid you farewell, young wanderers. That path there will lead you straight back to the border between realms. But I do hope you'll visit us again ere long. The Whispering Woods always delights in the company of new friend."